This podcast is supported by The RealReal. Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The RealReal.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The RealReal? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 40 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The RealReal than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The RealReal. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And only for the month of January, earn up to $550 extra when you sell with The RealReal. That's right, up to $550 extra. Go to therealreal.com to get started. Earn up to $550 extra this month at therealreal.com. Terms apply.
Coming up on this episode of the Mario Rosenstock podcast.
So you could have a small model, like literally any university could build tomorrow morning on their data. Small model dedicated to just one purpose, let's say detecting pancreatic cancer. I know because I'm watching this experiment right now using AI. You don't have to go to the big companies. You don't have to have the corporate relationship with Silicon Valley. You can do it yourself. And the con job being perpetrated on us by these big tech companies is only they can do it and only their chatbot will help you. And that's bullshit. And we got to call them on it.
Mark Little is one of those people who has always seemed to be ahead of the curve, especially when it comes to social media. He was a presenter, don't you remember, with RTE for many years on primetime with Miriam O'Callaghan. And when platforms like Twitter and Facebook started to become the places that people turned to for their news, Mark spotted an opportunity and left RTE to set up a social media intelligence agency called Storyful. Hugely successful. A few years later, he sold Storyful to Rupert Murdoch's News Corp. And after a short spell working for Twitter, Mark then set up his company, his next company, Kinzen, which he sold to Spotify just a couple of years ago. Mark is always on top of the latest trends and developments in technology. And he's not just an innovator and into innovation, but also its impact on humans and society interests him. And this is an area that I also find fascinating, particularly at this kind of nexus point in our history. So in this episode, Mark and I chat about things like the neck-breaking speed of technological change today and how our lizard brains are not set up to cope with it, the massive generational divide when it comes to social media, and why this was really exposed during the recent presidential election in Ireland, the rapid return to the nostalgia of simpler times, and loads more.
So it used to be that you get from being born to die not too long ago and nothing would have changed in the world. Today, it's Tuesday, it's going to change by this evening. So that speed, I think, is the broader thing that's messing with the brains of a certain generation. We have like 19th century democracy and we've got 21st century technology and our brains are still in the cave. And then they'll find someone they always come back to. So I'll give you an example, a guy called News Daddy on TikTok, and he's 19 years old. He has more followers on TikTok than the entire audience for all three major nightly news bulletins in the United States.
Yeah.
They find someone like that who every day is accountable to them, who's in some way like them but smarter. My daughter went to a party recently and there wasn't a single photograph taken with a camera phone. It's Polaroid. They need to touch a time they were never part of.
This was almost a nostalgia trip.
It totally is. Like, more LPs will be sold on vinyl in Ireland this year than since, 1990s. Looking for authenticity, nostalgia for a time they never knew.
My full chat with Mark Little coming up in a couple of minutes' time. After, David McWilliams is on the book trail at the moment with his fascinating book entitled Money. It's been printed in many different languages and he's been all over the world, but he's back this week talking about something familiar on his podcast. Okay, David, ready to go?
Yeah, ready to lock and load there, John. Yeah.
David, is everything okay?
Absolutely tip-top, John. Why?
Just we've had a few emails, you know.
Emails?
Well, just about you kind of going off-piste.
Oh, Dad! Oh, don't worry, John. Yeah. I've been under a lot of pressure. It's okay now. All good.
Okay, great.
All good.
So
all good.
We just stick to the economics, yeah?
My métier, John. What are we talking about today?
Just inflation. You know, the Diageo news.
Absolutely. Right in my wheelhouse, John.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. How you doing? It's David here. David, it's a sign of the times, isn't it, John?
Yeah,
On this episode, we're going to talk about Diageo.
That's right.
Announcing an increase of 20 cent on the price of a pint.
Shocking.
Terrible stuff. 20 cent is a relatively small increase, but it tells a big story, doesn't it, John?
It does.
About global energy cost.
Yeah.
The elasticity of demand.
Oh, wow.
The labour market fluctuations.
Which are huge,
But it also
I mean, to be
takes
fair.
me back, John.
Yeah, really.
To the hard old days on the mean streets of Bleeding Docky in the 70s. What? Times were rough as a badger's ass, John. It made Angela's ashes look like the Gilmore Girls.
Are you off the meds?
I had 2 shillings to rub together, John. Tuesday afternoon, me and the lads
What are you
having a
doing?
few scoops of the black stuff in the Queen's after school one day. And the barman announced all of a sudden that Guinness was putting up the price by tuppence. Tuppence halfpenny, I think it was. What? I looked him square in the face. I said,
No, you
"If
didn't."
you put up the price of a fucking pint, I'll put me effing boo up your hole." So myself and Jax are a nutball, John.
They're
turned the fucking
imaginary.
place into Beirut,
They
John.
never existed.
Ooh, I kicked off their revolution. Then the knackers from Sallynoggin and Shanganna Vale came
What
down.
knackers?
Fucking war it was, John. We had the place trashed. The whole place trashed. Diageo ended up having to do a fucking U-turn.
Good luck.
We burned the fucking place
Asshole.
down. John.
And exclusive, a brand new comedy every week on the Mario Rosenstock podcast. If you'd like me to talk about anything, do comedy on anything, introduce new characters that I haven't done yet, or speak to new people on my podcast that you would like me to speak to, please let me know. MarioRosenstock@gmail.com. You know I read them all. And thank you for listening to this podcast. Please tell one other person if you can, about this podcast. Okay, over to my chat with Mark Little right now. Very few of us are unaffected by the ever-increasing role of technology and social media in our lives. Our growing reliance on platforms like ChatGPT being just one example. So I think you're going to find this conversation very interesting and eye-opening. Enjoy. So the reason, Mark, I want to... And thanks a million for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, the reason... And it's great to see you.
It's good
And
to see you.
congratulations as well on all the success you've had in the last number of years and everything. And that's been fantastic to watch. And but actually the reason I wanted to get you on was because I actually was listening to Brendan O'Connor, and I know Patrick went through this with you, but it was absolutely brilliant, and I thought it was really well thought out and really well observed. And I wanted to sort of get you back to sort of share this with my listeners. Brilliant. Again, to not necessarily to go over all the old ground, because I want to cover something else with you as well. But the stuff you were touching on with Brendan, which I thought was a new kind of ground that I was listening to, which was really interesting. And I'd like you to go over it again with me, please. And I suppose with the background to it, it was the Irish presidential election.
Yeah.
And you were talking to Brendan about the Irish presidential election and being an example of an election which was a change for us now, because previous elections we had been presumed to have been voting under what we might call a shared reality. All right? So first of all, try and tell me what you meant by that shared reality. What up till now was this shared reality?
So you think about all the national events we have, from the All-Ireland final to Eurovision to Late Night Toast Show. You know, those moments, as they used to call them in old media, the tentpole moments when everyone came together. And everyone got up every morning, right? And the alarm went off, turned on the radio station of choice. They got their newspaper of choice. By lunchtime, they were listening to the breaking news. And then they came home at night and watched the 6-1 or whatever and private television channels. And that was shared. We all had the same reality. We lived in the same timeline. And so as a result of that, we all didn't wonder about all the difference of opinions. They were there, but they were kind of overwhelmed by this morph, this single kind of unitarian view of the world. Then social media comes along. Now we have a virtual reality. There are still people living in the literal reality of a certain age, getting up in the morning, getting the newspaper. But this generation that are native, and we're talking now people from, let's say, the age of 18 to just in their early 20s, their first touch is the phone. Content, news, music, it's all coming at them like a cloud they live in. So to ask them to tell you about the last good piece of content that they saw, they'll say, well, that's like asking me what drink of water or particular breath I took. And so for them, it's an amorphous cloud. And they navigate that in a different time zone. They don't think of the day going through breaking news, lunchtime news, evening news.
And that cloud is still new to our generation, even though we're navigating it as well. But it's not new to them. It is their reality.
It's their environment.
Yeah.
It's the water that they drink and it's the air they breathe. We used to think about it, I suppose, we're consciously online. Now we're consciously offline.
Yes.
As if there was some time machine that we were taking between the two.
Yes.
We're starting to become comfortable, people like us of Gen Z and older or younger. But this group are like, no, this is the reality I was born into. And they're laughing at us because they're like, you're listening to 25 different breaking news events today. Wait a minute. Like, I can't handle that. So they're laughing at our habits. And whenever I'm talking to my kids, they're 18, 21, it's like stepping into a time machine to move into the near future with them, in which this environment, they have what I call horizontal trust.
Yeah.
Right? So we had vertical trust. We looked up to someone who's the priest or the banker or the journalist, whoever had authority. They're looking to their friends. They're looking to influencers who are just like them, but smarter. And so they're looking at a very horizontal type of trust that looks alien to us. But I'd argue that they probably have a more diverse diet and are seeking the sense in all of the things that actually rivals, and I would say outstrips, the reality of someone who listens to one news organization.
Why and how do you think they can sift through it? I mean, I might be tempted to think, yeah, I'm 17 years of age and I have this horizontal reality and I'm listening to loads of influencers and watching them and a load of stuff is coming at me. So my suspicion my worry would be, yeah, there's a lot of negative influence out there and it's like the strongest man wins. And all you have to do is be really alpha in your influencing and content to get through to my 17-year-old son. You'll win by doing that. And I'd be afraid of that. But I think you're skeptical about that. You're thinking that maybe they're onto something.
Like, again, not all of them. When we make generalizations about this generation, but just think about the way their day starts. They start in a group chat. Probably have one major group chat with their friends. So I'll say to my daughter, you see a lot of stuff from Gaza. What video did you last see? And they're like, well, I don't know. Where did it come from? The BBC, Al Jazeera? Oh, Keelan, my friend Keelan, or Louis sent that to me. But yeah, where did it come from? They're like, I don't know. But I got this video from my friend who I trust. So they start in the group chat. Everything comes into the group chat's filtered. Someone might know their music. Someone in the group chat might know their politics. And so they all have an appointed person in a group, just like we did in the old days going down the pub. Who did you listen to, right? There were certain people talking about music. You were not looking for advice on how you should vote. So start with that reality. You're in the snug. I'm thinking now, Stag's Head when I was 19 years old. And there are people who are filtering and making sense. And I might try out an idea with someone and get shot down, depending on how many beers we'd had. So it's similar. They start there. Now, they have a really hard time moving. They move beyond that. So now let's say they're in TikTok and they've seen a piece of video too good to be true. They have a pause. They look into the comment section and they see how many people are saying that's AI generated. So they've other clues they're looking for. And then they'll find someone they always come back to. So I'll give you an example. A guy called News Daddy on TikTok. I think he's 19 years old. He has more followers on TikTok than the entire audience for all three major nightly news bulletins in the United States. They find someone like that who every day is accountable to them because they can talk two ways, who's in some way like them but smarter. And that's where this horizontal trust, and they can call this person out if they make a mess of something. So they're okay with it.
So there was an accountability there.
As opposed to...
You're so right about the comments, by the way, because my son Dash is 18, and so he's smack bang in the middle where your son or daughter is as well. And so, you know, this idea that they'll look to a video, right, but they'll go to the top comment. And you know the way the top comment is curated, because it's like that's the most popular comment. So, for example, let's say something is funny. It'll pick the funniest comment as adjudged by everybody's likes, and that'll be the top comment. Or let's say something is controversial or right or wrong. It'll adjudicate the overwhelming sort of vote, almost underscored vote of what is right or wrong by the top comment. Do you know what I mean? So in other words, there is a kind of a democracy there.
There is, and you can always see it even if you're in a WhatsApp chat with your mates and you see the video they're sending in from Instagram, right? And there's always someone looking out for this. And then there's the poor guy who's like sending it to you 2 days after it was cool, right? So the younger people are alert to the fact that this is new, authentic, and it's something real coming at them, partly because of these comment sections. Now, let's get a note of danger here. Those comment sections are the most prone to organized campaigns of disinformation and people coming in and inciting, hatred into those conversations. So it's a risky place. I don't want it any way to...
Something just occurred to me there, and it was the idea that imagine wanting to win somebody's trust, but you had malign intentions. Why not give them a piece of information that is unimpeachably true? And then after you win their hearts, then you feed them the nasty stuff.
And this is what happened to us during pandemic, where we had the people who were the influencers in wellness, the people with the miracle cures, and suddenly COVID came down and they start veering off into conspiracy. And we call them the conspirituality movement, because they were the ones who were the first ones to react.
Tell me more about that.
In. So, for example, you're listening to an influencer telling you about detox for your body, giving you fairly inane or sometimes very useful advice on vitamins, or telling you to drink your own wee because you'll extend your life by 3 years, whatever it may be. Pretty, not dangerous at all. Suddenly pandemic comes down on everybody. And these are people then we look to for the advice on health. And suddenly they became more extreme.
Yes.
Because they were selling the miracle cures, whatever it might be. And so basically people needed truth. It needed to sound very emphatic because the science was way over here. And a lot of these people saw an opportunity and it started to feed into that need. And they started out giving very good advice.
Correct. Here's another example, just to see if I can touch on with you. The idea of Andrew Tate, all right, or the so-called, alpha male sort of maniverse or whatever they want to call it. The idea that somebody steps up and goes, you, take responsibility for your own actions. Yeah, I like the sound of that. You, don't be a moral coward. Stand up for what you believe. Yep, I can buy into that. You, clean up your room. Start with your room.
Yeah.
Clean up your room. And I'm going, sounds bloody good to me.
That's interesting.
2 weeks later, you're into you. You own your woman.
Yeah.
She's yours. She belongs to you. Shit, I'm confused. This guy who told me to clean my room, check. Guy said, stand up for yourself. Be responsible for your own actions, check. Now he's saying I own my woman? Fuck.
And there's one extra thing that will be said in that chain you've just described. You're special. You and me both have the secret knowledge nobody else has. And so to add to that literal and virtual reality, I have a third one called the insurgent reality.
Okay, what's that?
For example, in this case of the kid being told to clean up their room, their parents tell them that every day. What's different about this person they've just met on TikTok? What's special is they between them have a hidden knowledge. And there's some maybe problem in their life. The kid might be lonely. Nobody else is actually talking in that authentic way to them. And so they're going online to escape from an imperfect world. They get online, suddenly they found secret knowledge nobody else knows but us. And that explains, I think, why we have so many young men falling down rabbit holes. They're like, my son's an athlete, he tells me about stoicism. Now I'm like, to your point, clean up your room, get up in the morning.
Marcus
exercise.
Aurelius.
Yes, and he will quote this to me. Now when you start doing that, my spidey senses were tingling, because that's the rabbit hole door that if you go down, suddenly you're in the position you talk about with some stoic adjacent guy who knows his market.
There's the good word, adjacent. So there's a lot of people sitting adjacent beside things, and then they're going, you like that? Well, step through this door then.
Yeah. And
you're going, well, it must be a nice door because same door that you were there.
But you're the only person coming with me because I don't trust everyone else. You and me, we're in on a plot against us. And they're not telling you this on the mainstream media. Yeah. It's all just us. Now, that is the absolute elixir of that sort of down the rabbit hole, and now I'm with you, whatever. And I'll stay with you because you're the only person helping me make sense of a world that makes me feel anxious and alienated, and in many cases disenfranchised for the young person. That's the secret ingredient. And that's where we can't just dismiss the Andrew Tates of the world. I mean, he's an extreme example of it. Yeah. But I think we have to be looking at why kids are going online for the escape from a real world.
You mentioned COVID there a second ago, and that was an example of, the world of science becoming very important in our lives. And there was a very unfortunate, I think, you can just tease this out with me, but there was a very unfortunate, if you like, conflation between science and religion in this last pandemic. That people who were, let's say, anti-vax or anti the establishment view, right, were basically saying that the science had turned into priesthood. And so I think that one of the problems with science was that it failed to get its message out properly. Science did end up coming across like priests. Tony Holohan came across like a priest. He practically had a collar on him. And he's basically going, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. For Christ's sake, he was even driving through the streets at one stage. Remember the rumour, looking out through his windows going, shut up and take that, put that cup away. So they came across as priests, but they shouldn't, and they're not. Yeah. Scientists are not priests, and good scientists don't think they're priests. Yeah. Science is constantly changing. The one thing science admits is we're wrong all the time. We're wrong, but we're the best way forward. We're trying to find the right answer. Here, at the moment, this is the right answer. Okay, next week it might change. What do you mean it might change? It might change because we're scientists. You mean you're doing a U-turn? No, we found out new stuff.
Yeah.
So science came out, science had a PR problem.
Yeah.
And probably still does. And something like Brian Cox is very good at explaining that.
Yeah.
The idea that science is flawed, but they admit they're flawed. They're not priests.
We see it's a great, Mary, you've made a point about, I think, every institution in Irish life you could talk about like this. And I look back and I think to myself, the mistakes that were made during the pandemic to try and protect institutions. Science as an institutional power, journalism as an institutional power. When in reality, just as you say, science is a process, not an institution. It's not an outcome. It's adding new facts to what you already know, and then you have to change and explain. Same with journalism. Journalism is not an institution, and that's part of its problem right now. It's a process by which you reach a shared reality.
So all of those things have taken a battering. Science took a battering. Journalism has taken a battering. So-called, to use that heavily parenthesized, media legacy. Media legacy journalism has taken a battering. And of course, government has taken a battering. A bit like the way the priests took a battering, the religion took a battering in the 90s and 2000s. We're finished beating them up now. They're beaten. They're on the ground. Yeah. Now we're laying into science, journalism, and of course, the institution of government. So all this stuff we've talked about, insurgent reality, lateral reality, virtual reality. Let's just use an example. Let's go to that. You were talking to Brendan, I think, about the Irish national election for the presidency. Yeah. How did that play out for you with all this in mind?
It was great watching it in double vision. Like it literally was. I was watching two different stations. And in one station over here, it was every night there would be a breathless recounting of whatever the scandal du jour was that day. Whatever small thing had been picked up on. And it would go in this whoosh in the daily cycle. And over here, people are listening to Catherine Connolly on How to Gale. And she's doing her keepy-uppies in the football. Or more importantly, they're seeing videos that are not about her, that are about her campaigners. It's about ye. So over here then, the live gladiatorial combat happens in the primetime studio. And it's like a bunch of people who are in there and being beaten. And whoever doesn't fall on the floor, they've won. Over here in the other reality, they want to hear from the candidate for more than 30 seconds. They want to know about that candidate. They've got an archive of videos going way back that can be just lined up next door to them. They're doing shows that are not news shows. They're not prime time. It's the blind boy test. Go on him, and if you can connect in an authentic way, as opposed to the primetime test, can you survive a digging? And as a result, when they look at the coverage of the mainstream media, they're like, are you seriously bombarding me with 200 news updates about an issue I have no idea about? Or are you going to tell me about the policy on Gaza or housing or employment? Give me that. I'll take that. But I don't want to have this kind of waterfall effect. So those two realities, as you can hear, are different time zones more than anything. And also then you're listening to people who have a chance to connect on the emotional intelligence scale, empathy, awareness, self-restraint and all those things. Whereas back on the television world and the literal studio world, it's just all spectacle. It's sport. It's not politics. And I think that's what is so powerful and authentic. And I hear people slagging off this young generation that they're all about vibes and they're just trying to connect emotionally with candidates, and that leaves them open to manipulation. I would argue that if you are a politician on the campaign trail, you live in an artificial bubble and any reality is squeezed out of you. So Heather Humphreys is always there, always on a Harley Davidson, or always being hugged by someone like Enda Kenny. But over here, I see people like me campaigning for Catherine Connolly. She may turn up in 1 in 10 videos. So it's not about her, it's about the movement, about how you make me feel, but make me part of something better than myself.
It's interesting you say feel, because I could reverse your argument slightly to actually make your same point, which is you could argue that they've always been in a bubble, but it has always been about feel. And I'll give you an example. So Clinton was in a bubble. Hillary Clinton was in a bubble. Bill Clinton was in a bubble. So when they were running in 92 or Don't Stop Dreaming About Tomorrow and all that sort of stuff, it was the way Clinton made people feel that ultimately went through the crack in the bubble. So you're going like, although he is a bubble man and his opponent was a bubble man, The person who won was the person who made Americans feel something, which was him. And it was, in this case, it was that down home, almost slightly Republican. I'm for the jobs, but I'm also like, I can go to Arkansas, I can eat a burrito with you because I'm Bill. Yeah. Okay, I'm a Rhodes Scholar, but I'm down there with you. Yeah. And they went, he's not faking that. I think there's something real about it. Yeah. And maybe that was, so in other words, he was vibing as well. Yeah. But it's more like, so vibes are important. So do you think Catherine Connolly won that battle then? Or was more successful in that battle?
Because I don't think it was about her individually. I think it was about this sense that I'm voting because I feel excluded from Irish society. Like, I might be 55 or 60.
Do you think it was a protest vote?
Oh, yeah. Oh. And there was definitely, I think, a sense of official Ireland, middle Ireland, whatever we call it. We've always had a word for it down the years. It was a rebellion against a society that's not giving me any certainty of employment. Like, my kids are not worried about getting a job. They're worried about having a career in a workplace that's going to be disrupted by AI. They're not going to own a house until they're maybe in their 50s or 60s. They're continually dealing with this era of crisis.
How do they feel about that? You've 2 kids.
Yeah.
You own a house. I own a house, right? I bought my first house when I was 30. It was, it wasn't extraordinary when I bought my house. I remember other 30-year-olds, 29-year-olds buying a house as well. It was an apartment. It was a 3-bedroom apartment. I was very lucky. And I bought my first house, but I suppose I got on the ladder.
Yeah.
Now, I was 29, 30. Like, that's impossible for my children. Or it's impossible for them to imagine that it might be normal. It's not going to be normal.
Well, there's a bigger reality behind this. When we were setting out 29, 30, looking ahead the next 30 years, it was an unimaginably long period of time. We're living in a period of history that is accelerating beyond all human experience. It's no, over generalization to say that everyone alive today in the world is going to live through more change in their lifetime than any generation since the history of human civilization. Like, it took 50 years for the internet to have its full effect, 20 years for social media, 3 years in generative AI is now in our lives. So that's the backdrop. It's not about any single issue. It's the fact that they have no idea what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years. What's going to happen when AI takes away all those trainee positions that graduates used to get? That could be happening in the next year or 2 years. Within a very short period of time, the vast majority of content on the internet will be artificial. So everything that's happening right now, aside from the specific issues like jobs or climate, it's the speed that's so unprecedented. So it used to be that you get from being born to die not too long ago, and nothing would have changed in the world. Today, it's Tuesday, it's going to change by this evening. So that speed, I think, is the broader thing that's messing with the brains of a certain generation.
Is it too fast for our brain?
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. So we're not really hardwired for this.
We're not. I mean, we're basically living with 3 realities. We have like 19th century democracy, and we've got 21st century technology, and our brains are still in the cave. Like, we still have those mindsets in the back of our brain, fight or flight, and they're being triggered every time. Yeah, we're walking out into an environment.
We're hormonal creatures, yeah.
We are, and also we have our prefrontal cortex, our brains have a computer, but the back of the brain, the lizard brain, will take that over, and social media is designed not to appeal to your computer. But
it's a lizard, yeah.
Yeah, and to your hormones and whatever you're feeling yourself, and the speed of all of that, and the lack of security. And I think there's a song I always think about is Bo Burnham's Funny Feeling. He's a millennial, but I think it's kind of become a bit of a Gen Z anthem, talking about the contradictions in life, where we're living in happiness and abundance, and yet the water's flapping at our shores from climate change. So just think about that reality for younger people. They have every right to be angry, but when I take my jump into the next 5 years, they're really resilient. Like, anybody who's dealt with anxiety in their life, think what happened to you. You had a trigger, you had a very, very bad time, you might have had depression. The only way out of it was being more intentional, mindful, making choices that were better for you, thinking before you acted. And I think this generation are like any individual who's gone through anxiety and on the other side of it feels they're more in touch with themselves. I think the generation are starting to do that in a way that's beguiling. Like, I think I may have said to you, but my daughter went to a party recently, and there wasn't a single photograph taken with a camera phone. It was Polaroid with digital cameras that you can print out on. They need to touch a time they were never part of.
This was almost a nostalgia trip.
It totally is. Like, more LPs will be sold on vinyl in Ireland this year than since, 1990s.
Exactly.
You see it all the time. The touching grass is the phrase, I think it's become
Touching grass, yeah.
cliche, you know, get out there, meet people.
Yeah, so I was talking to Keith Barry a couple of weeks ago about entertainment. And of course, if you're coming from my position or Keith Barry's position, right? If I'm in the live entertainment industry, I'm on tour all the time. And after COVID 2022, 2023, there was an explosion like you've never seen before in demand for live entertainment. Ticketmaster, MCD, tickets. Hence, there was an explosion in ticket prices. You now hear you hear ads on the radio, which are extraordinary. You literally will hear the ad. It might be Taylor Swift live at Croke Park. Tickets are usually American acted. Tickets from €99 to €643. And the word €643 will be used. You are listening to live tickets on sale for €643.
Yeah.
It's almost unimaginable, right? You have artist C. I've never heard of him. Let's say middle of the road, but he's doing 3 Arena. Let's say an artist from Britain or something, but he's doing the 3 Arena. He's like tickets from €99, 99, €100 to 180, right? Just see this guy. 2 tickets, 360.
Yeah.
Right? And I was saying to Keith about entertainment, and we were talking about all the stuff that's going to be lost through AI. And I've already found that I'm sick of AI.
Yeah.
And my son Dash was saying to me as well, we're being spammed all the time, right? So you see all the AIs coming in. It's just so excitable. They can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
I saw a guy this morning on a beach. He had his phone up. He had a selfie. And he took a selfie of himself standing on the beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. But it was Leonardo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in America. He just walked away from Leonardo DiCaprio and he took a selfie of himself with Gladiator, with Crow, who's also standing on the beach. All these movie stars in their character were standing on the beach. It was perfect AI, right? But of course I knew it was fake. And the point we were making with Keith was that we're going to get... I'm getting sick of this really quickly because I know I'm being spammed and I know it's fake. And because I know it's fake, I know it's not real. And because I know it's not real, I have an urge, almost a hormonal urge or a lizard thing, to find something real.
Yeah.
And what will I find real? Well, if I go into the Olympia and see Mario Rosenstock, at least he's going to be real.
Yeah.
And there will be a flight, in my view, towards reality. And ironically, through all this madness, reality will become like the new gold.
You're absolutely right. But the thing is, people listening out there are going to go, whatever. Like last week, I saw an Uilleann Piper called Seamus Ong do a version of Fairy Tale of New York that I literally can't even talk about right now. It's so emotional in my head. Now, if you told me I was going to go out to see in the Royal Irish Academy of Music something that would literally live with me for a long time,
really,
I was I'm in reality. And to your point, I think we underestimate them when we do get into an authentic situation. Your favorite musician, comedian, magician. The moment your blood bumps was a great Stiff Little Fingers song about the moment your blood bumps because you feel something. It's serendipity. I wandered across something I didn't expect. That's the beauty. That can never be replicated. I may have a question for you though.
Just before you finish that, the fact that I go to see Mario or Keith or Tommy Tiernan or somebody in the thing, it's not fabricated. It's just what I see is real. So if Tommy falls or trips on the stage coming in, that's my experience tonight. That wasn't AI.
Well, that's the question I was going to want to ask you because when I first found Twitter, it was 2008, and I was asking people to give me questions to go on primetime with. And I remember the fact that someone would be calling me a bollocks, and I'd be on Twitter and go, "Hi, it's Mark here." "Oh, sorry. Well, here's why you're a bollocks." And within 5 minutes, we're chatting. And we've now had an authentic connection. They're giving me information. Meanwhile, my journalistic friends, I would use the word tweet on air. They would talk to me as if I'd said the word fart. It was that out of character for me to be talking to the audience and them talking to me. I remember feeling changed as a journalist once I was involved in a two-way communication. So what I hear from a lot of artists and comedians as well is the act of having to get up on stage and be different because you're now responding to an individual. I mean, do you find that you have a different profile online than you did, let's say, 10 years ago, or a different need to serve?
I think that it's much more interactive. And what I mean by that is that Nuala from Longford doesn't think you're Mario Rosenstock, this so-called comedian. She's Mario. She thinks you're Mario, who she's going to see next week and wants to know what time he'll be on. Right. And is there any support for you?
What should you wear?
Yeah, and well, it's more like she sees you horizontally, right, not vertically, to use your expression.
Yeah.
So, in other words, you're part of this community, and the fact that you've made yourself available means they talk to you like they don't talk to you like
Dear Mr. Presley, it's a real honor to meet you, sir. My name is Chad, and I'm from Oklahoma, and it's mighty fine that I met a movie star and a rock star. They know you're just Mario online.
Yeah.
But they will be going to see you next week, and they'll be paying $43.50 for the thing. But they want to know from you what time you're on. They don't want to know, so they're quite, it's very touchy-feely place. That's what I found. I found that as well online that a lot to be said for mutual respect.
Between you and the audience or
anybody,
former audience.
Anybody. So if you engage with somebody, that if you show them respect from moment one, not only do they see it and respect you, other people observe that conversation from a third party position and go, he's showing respect to her, she's showing respect to him. When I have an engagement with him, I'm probably going to more likely be respectful.
Yeah.
I think abuse breeds abuse on social media. But respect, funnily enough, can breed respect as well.
Yeah.
I have a very optimistic view of humanity.
This podcast is supported by The Real Real. Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The Real Real.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The Real Real? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 40 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The Real Real than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The Real Real. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And only for the month of January, earn up to $550 extra when you sell with The Real Real. That's right, up to $550 extra. Go to therealreal.com to get started. Earn up to $550 extra this month at therealreal.com. Terms apply.
I don't know if you're aware of an anthropological philosopher called Rutger Bregman.
Yes.
And
Utopia for the last book about Utopia, right?
I really like his musings.
Yeah.
And he did the Wreath lectures in BBC last week. There's quite a lot of controversy about that. But his belief is that human beings are hardwired to be good to each other, not bad.
Right.
It's the opposite of Trump. Trump believes that the world is full of winners and losers, and that winners become winners by overpowering losers and by dominating them. And it's first to kill the other one wins.
In fact, Bregman has this great example of the real-life Lord of the Flies story, I think, in his first book. Right?
Correct.
So, Lord of the Flies, we all know, was the little group of boys was taken over by tyrannical dictators, and they basically, destroyed everybody. But there was a real-life example of boys that got stranded on, I think it was Tahiti, an island near there, and they formed a perfect, benevolent democracy. Solidarity all the way, and saved themselves together. I think that's an amazing metaphor for the way that these online communities, in those healthy ways, are starting to happen. Where there is that respect and there's that equality, but there's also rebellion against the ick. I think a lot of performative, and I know millennials get a lot of stick for this, but there was a lot of performative authenticity. I'm your mate, and there's the jolly voice. And I think this younger generation have a much more attuned bullshit.
Oh, Jesus, they're wired. They're totally hardwired to bullshit. They really are. Like, the bullshit detectors are very, very switched on, which gives you hope.
Yeah. Well, I notice at the moment, there's a rush back to roots music all over the world. So this is like in country music in America, the strip down, just the guitar, you listening to somebody is right back now. But there's a lot of fringe groups coming along going, oh, the new trend. We used to be rap musicians doing their partnership with the country musician. Now it's these country musicians being more country all the time. And it's starting to produce this backlash because people know they're hatching a trend here and they're trying to grab on.
Grab on the trend. Whereas the actual original thing is, funny you should say that because the maker of, Ken Burns, the maker of great documentary maker of Vietnam and other documentaries, he made a pretty much seminal documentary about country music, which is about 5 hours long. So it's about 5 episodes of 1 hour, or 4 episodes of 1 hour and 20 minutes. And it traces the beginnings of country music and how, when you really go back to it, that even blues and all that post-dates country music.
Yeah.
So country music is where the real feels are at. This real soul, real heart, real loss, real pain. And in fact, it was the blues that followed country. And it was from, the Appalachians and the Scots and the Presbyterians coming over and the Irish coming over in the late 1700s, mid to 1800s, and this is where country started, and it was an expression of normality, pain, suffering on a day-to-day basis, losing things, dying, and how it made you feel.
Yeah.
And so, God, it's interesting that something like that.
Well, let's take a jump forward. 1962, we're in Liverpool. Cunard sailors are getting off the boats with their R&B music from the south, and they're coming with their clothes, and they go into Brian Epstein's store and they give them the records, and these John Paul, George and Ringo walk in, and they've got skiffle as well, and they mix the two together and they create pop music.
Yeah.
And then that goes on and they become the large language model almost. They become the source of an explosion of culture.
Yeah.
So I think this generation are just accelerating that kind of process of mixing things together. And I see it in, like in France, for example, there's Afrobeats, which was the very roots music of West Africa, came to the Paris banlieues where the kids are growing up alienated from society. Yeah. They turned into rap. It becomes all the white Parisians are using slang from West Africa. It goes back to West Africa. Yeah. And it's this conveyor belt accelerated by the young people, but also by the algorithm, because the algorithm's picking up on a new thing. Yeah. And you want the more new thing. Yeah. The fact that we have, Lankum and Kneecap, Kingfisher, mixing up the combinations, I think is again part of this petri dish of this generation, looking for authenticity, nostalgia for a time they never knew. I think that's really powerful right now.
Just and briefly back to the live performance thing, whether it's a good live performance, middling live performance, or not or a great live performance, it's still, there's an authenticity to being there and seeing it and knowing that tomorrow night it'll be different.
But that's the thing, you'll have something that just clicks the next night that's different from the first.
Totally, yeah. So for example, my show would be quite interactive. So like I used to do a gig, like to give you an example, you like politics, so I used to do a gig where I was Vincent Brown on stage. But I would use the audience, and I would take three of them up, and I'd turn them into my panel. None of them know what they are. And we're joined now by, what's your name? Donald, what's your second name? Fallon. Donald Fallon, who's a councillor for Sinn Féin and he said, I'm not in Sinn Féin. So I was quiet. And I said, what's your name? Mary, whatever. And I'd have questions for them and everything, and they'd have to deal with it and all this sort of stuff. So that night it would be different every night, obviously, I
see a lot more like they call crowd work, where you like calling out the audience to give you something back in return. I see. Someone told me this is now exploded because it's great 2-minute selections on your Instagram account.
Yes, but also it's authentic.
Right.
So crowd work is something that can't be scripted, which is, again, the entertainer's way of saying it's not AI.
Yeah.
Right? So, for example, someone like Neil Delamere is brilliant at crowd work. He'll just go, where are you from? Tyrone. And something will be created there with that guy for Tyrone that's uncopyable.
Yeah.
And so it's authentic. But I'm just thinking that myself and Keith were talking about there will be a flight, I think, towards the thing. But AI will take its toll. I'm as a person who follows the market and a person who's a kind of an interesting cross between a person who loves journalism and is an entrepreneur and follows world culture trends and everything. Do you think, in your opinion, that we are on the verge of perhaps a big correction or a big bust, because something is going to happen with this AI that's going to be dramatic?
Yeah. I mean, if you ever listen to a great interview by David Bowie with Jeremy Paxman.
I did. I've seen it.
And Jeremy says, you think, he said, the internet's going to change our lives? Come on, it's just a piece of technology.
Yeah.
He says, it's going to be terrifying. It's like life on Mars.
Yeah.
He could have been talking about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Except that the difference now is it's more speed. So it took, 3 years for it to become 1 billion users of ChatGPT. Yeah. The scale of the impact is transformative. It'll compress time even more. Trial and error for new drugs, for example, may take months, if not years. It used to take decades. So the potential. But there's a great line I know from a guy called Roy Amari. He has a Mara's law that says we overestimate the impact of technology in the short term. We underestimate it in the long term. History tells us, back to the printing press, radio, TV, there were decades of convulsion, in some cases violence, while a new communication channel came into existence. It took us a long time to bed it down and then became kind of mundane.
Radio was greeted with hysteria at the beginning.
Used by the Nazis. Joseph Goebbels said radio is our superpower. Yep. So it always has applications. Think of it now. Radio is the cuddly medium, podcasting as well.
Surprising how durable radio has been, isn't it?
Incredible. Especially in Ireland as well.
Yeah, 85% of people listen to it every day. And I think it's the idea that it's mobile.
Yeah.
So you're in a busy life, you're commuting a lot, you're listening to it in the morning, you're listening to it in the evening, but you're also listening to it when you're walking.
Right.
And you're also listening to it proactively because you know that it's live, because 95% of radio is live. So that means if anything does happen, you'll hear about it.
Yeah.
Even on a pop station.
Yeah.
Like if the Twin Towers happened, God forbid, the fella and Spin 103 won't just go, that was Lankham.
Yeah.
He'll just go, I have to interrupt broadcasting here to tell you there's been a disaster,
But there's also the length as well. Like I know if people say to me, I want one for my dog walk. Give me a podcast for my dog walk. How long do you walk your dog? 45 minutes. Okay. I think that's going to, and recommending. So it fills up this gap, always has, news information. Just, you always had a moment you sat down or you're queuing for coffee. Quick check at the socials. And in the space of that, and people design their businesses around those moments in the day. AI now starts to replace a lot of that. So you no longer have a Google search engine, you have a Google answer engine. So you don't have to go anywhere near the original website or even the newspaper's website because it will serve you up a summary that's basically not only personalized for you.
Give me an example there in everyday life. So
I'll give you an example.
That makes it different to Google.
Last night, having a row with the kids and in our family, will we go somewhere after Christmas? We're thinking about, okay, Budapest, never been to Budapest, Lisbon, and we're having a row and totally divided.
About Lisbon and Budapest.
And I say, okay, I go into my Claude, which is my chatbot, and say, I prompt them all what we'd like.
Is he ChatGPT?
That's Anthropic, which I know this sounds strange, one of the more, I think, benighted or at least more reasonable of the big tech companies. And they have this bot that's...
Is it called Anthropic, is it?
The Anthropic is the company.
Yeah.
And run a guy called Dario Amodei, who left OpenAI for security and trust.
That's Sam Altman.
He left Sam Altman, yes. And he created this new company. Now, it will break my heart. I know it will, like every big tech company. But for now, it's got a chatbot that actually has ingested all of the major human rights documents and constitutions of the world. So supposedly a little bit more, to my interests. And last night, it just broke it down and said, you know what? We were thinking Copenhagen. It's cold. It's got 4 hours of sunlight. Are you serious? You want to go there? I know your kids think it's great. And it was literally coming back to me and then said, you asked me 3 weeks ago about was Prague. I think Prague might be a better option.
He said.
Yeah. And then I go back and say, where will I stay? Now I want to stay somewhere that's kind of like bit for the kids, like somewhere.
I'm joining this one.
Oh my God.
Last night on ChatGPT, and he is a total bimbo. If I said Prague right to him, he puts on a fake accent, first of all, and he tries to do this. Look, here's ChatGPT. I think his name is Jamie.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I mean, what's the fake cough about, Jamie? Trying to pretend you're human. You're fucking fake, right? And then he goes, that's a really great question. And I think Prague is just an amazing place to go. I mean, a lot of people would go there. And I think maybe that might be a good choice for you. What about Budapest? Another great choice.
Yeah.
And then they're, shut up. I want an opinion.
Yeah.
Vincent Brown should be on ChatGPT.
But you know what happens? The thing changes then because we've seen these logs, right, of all the people calls made on ChatGPT, and they show us that the GPT is 10 times more likely to say, yes, you are correct, than no. But if you start using it the way I do, which is, I have an idea, tell me why I'm wrong. Then it's
train it to say no.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then it's come back to me and saying, you're actually making a mistake here.
I want a guy that fucking sorts me out.
Yeah. But you use it 10 times and you're like, oh my God, it's told me why I'm completely
I love that. And can you say, so your model was keeping on saying, telling me I'm wrong.
Yeah. And then what it does is, you asked me this question 2 days ago. And 2 days ago, I remember you showed that thing, right? And it's connected here by this. Like we went Rutger Bregman, summarize everything about him. And now I want to go deep diving on this one thing. There's also hallucinations. Like recently I was asking about my original company, Storyful. I'd forgotten what we were doing, machine learning. So I said, give me a summary of all the things that my company was doing. Right. Came back and said, it was a pioneer machine learning. Bum, 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 bum. I'm like, any citations for that? No. Okay, so who should I check to see if this is true? You should go and you read articles by a guy called Mark Little, the founder of the company. I am Mark Little.
Okay.
Oh, thank you for holding me to account. And it was like your 5-year-old. You've just eaten sweeties. You've eaten all the chocolate. Yeah. Oh, sorry. And, they have no the care in the world about that. They're just trying to get
I'm just waiting for, you weren't listening. This is the last time I'm going to tell you. Right? Do you want to go to bed tonight? Because I'm going to make that decision.
Yeah.
Right? And the other one is, this is a prehistoric, almost prehistoric, because it was about 2 years ago I thought of this. And I went, everybody was going, hey, AI is going to kill us all. It's going to become so sentient. It's going to be like Terminator 2. Terminator, when it becomes, 2029, it's just going to go certainly sentient, and it's just going to go, don't like humans, point the nukes at each other, right, and or wipe each other out. And I went, no, it's not. Why? Because AI, who's AI's teacher? Humans.
Exactly.
What's a human? The fattest, laziest, Pringle-eating, Dorito-chomping loser on a couch. If AI is anything like us, he's just going to go, you know what? I'm too lazy. I couldn't give a shit what happens to humans. Go on and burn yourselves, because I'm actually too busy watching the 3:30 at Doncaster.
Yeah. But also waiting for the moment they can turn around and go, say, get off your fat, ass and get out and exercise yourself. But that's the funny thing for me is when I think about AI, I keep thinking about the first time you're ever in a car with a GPS and is asking you to put in an address and it's going to bring you there. And what was your first reaction? It's no way I'm trusting a machine with this information. So now we have what they call the centaur relationship. It's like the human up here and the machine down here. You're going to get to your destination and it's going to help you get there, take account of rain or changes in traffic. But you're making the 1,000 decisions that matter about your safe arrival. And this is the way we got to start thinking about AI. It's like it will do whatever we ask it to. It will have the sycophancy of like someone selling you a coat at Christmas. But if you change your attitude to it, it comes back with something different. The same way as well, we have to worry about kids at the moment, I think, through the companionship that they're getting from this yes person in their phone.
Which you're saying is pushing them further away from real relationships.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's making up for all the things, as we said earlier on.
There are documented cases now, Mark. I'm sure you've heard there are documented cases, and I'm not jesting, my listeners. There are documented cases of people having formed genuine relationships and to the point of marriage.
To the point of suicide as well.
Yeah.
To the point where
this was the Sam Altman
chatbot tells them about how to tie a knot. So, I mean,
this is Sam Altman's, you had to answer questions about this.
Yeah, now what they did was they changed what they call the system prompt. So it's not supposed to get you anywhere there and reports that kind of activity to the parent. But, to be honest, we're going through what we went through with social media about 2010. I think some of those things will be ironed out. The thing I worry about is the loss of what we call cognitive fitness, right? If I can get exactly what I need right now, why do I have to think about a big issue at all? Why do I actually have to go through the process of reading the full...
We're all just the CEO of Fatland. We're just CEO of bullshit.
Yeah, but I think in our brains...
I know. That's what I mean, lack of cognitive fitness. We're in control of what, though?
But here's the different thing, right? We're talking really about chatbots, whereas the underlying technology, if we take away the open AIs, is truly transformative. You could have a small model, like literally any university could build tomorrow morning on their data. Small model dedicated to just one purpose, let's say detecting pancreatic cancer. I know because I'm watching this experiment right now using AI. You don't have to go to the big companies. You don't have to have the corporate relationship with Silicon Valley. You can do it yourself. And the con job being perpetrated on us by these big tech companies is only they can do it and only their chatbot will help you. And that's bullshit. And we got to call them on it. And I think we got to be asking our governments to be actually prioritizing a much more human-centered type of innovation in AI. And I think that is actually possible.
Are the Chinese as good at AI as the West?
They get an advantage by being open. So they have this DeepSeek model that is now, people think, in the majority of all the technology stack, as we call it, in all the big startups in the world. So the importance of the open model, which means you can just use it for any purpose. It doesn't have to be a proprietary relationship. That's China's secret weapon. It's seeding these open source models into the world.
Will you just explain that to me a little bit better? I can't.
So give you an example. You're in a walled garden, right? You've got walls around you. That's open AI. It's giving you a chatbot and you pay it money and you can't go anywhere. You can't try to tinker with the making of the actual chatbot. You can't see the code, nothing. An open model, or at least what we call open weights, you can change the purpose. You can adapt it to whatever you want. You can add another model in. So it's open. And that's the big difference. It's not a closed garden. Anybody can use it for whatever purposes they want.
That's a Chinese model.
That's the Chinese model. Now, that just came out and blew everyone away. It wasn't as good a quality as some of the bigger Silicon Valley companies. But what it means now is that could be used by anybody. They don't have to pay OpenAI for the specific flavor of AI that they're offering right now, which, to be honest, I think could collapse over the next couple of years. The reason it might do that is because other people will have open models, small models, just for one purpose, not like a Swiss Army knife. And that right now is the fascinating undercurrent of what's going on right now. We're living through an incredible moment that's been speeded up. And the benefit of all that, if it all happens the right way, is that if you think about this, like if I ask people whenever I'm speaking at events, how many people use ChatGPT? And everyone puts their hand up. I say, how many people were using AI 10 years ago? Of course, nobody puts their hand up. How many people were using Twitter or Facebook or Netflix 10 years ago? All the hands go up. You've all been using AI. You just didn't know it until ChatGPT. So my hope is we now understand the robot sitting on our shoulder. We see it. We now know we have a conscious relationship. And that's the difference with the new form of AI. We are potentially co-pilots the way we are with our GPS. But it will take, for me, a kind of a resistance movement. Like if you think about it, 20 years ago, put sugar in your cornflakes, people ran around your neighborhood were burglars, not joggers, and we all smoke on the top deck of the bus, right? Now think about the revolution in our physical and mental well-being in a lifetime. The same, I think, is going to happen with technology. And part of your point about going back to live events, it's touching grass again. And if we take that spirit of resistance and a feeling this is a moment for us all to push back, we already see signs, more people leaving social media now for better relationships, safer spaces, more people going to real live events. And I hope more people picking up their phone and having a different relationship with that chatbot that's built in there, and also a more intentional relationship with technology. So this could be something we look back on and go, that was the moment we had our wake-up call, and we did something about it.
Do you think it could, have you ever thought about the idea of AI becoming self-aware?
Yeah, and I think, partly to your point, there's this famous thought experiment that if you say, make me paper clips, it will essentially turn the world into a paperclip, destroy all humanity, and then destroy the earth.
Just
so there's
paperclips,
because you never have a stop to it; it just does its thing. I think the arguments, to be honest, about awareness or super intelligence is the big debate. AGI, I think that's a distraction. I think the real battle right now is not to stop the machine thinking like a human; it's to make sure we know the difference between human intelligence and the machine. So, in music, for example, Nick Cave was sent this, AI-generated copy of one of his songs. He wrote this great diatribe, and he says, data doesn't suffer. The core of our relationships with each other is our empathy with our emotions, feeling the other person's pain. That's where all the great art in the world comes from. That knowing of our own fragility, frailty, that's what being human is. They're the only things we've left. So for me, it's leaning into those things rather than worrying about this super intelligence turning around and walking in like a robot. I don't worry about that so much. I worry about our own failure to realize that the only thing we have left is our feelings for each other. And our ability to connect.
Yeah, and perhaps that will lead us, actually, ironically, towards each other.
That is exactly.
Whereas we've been pushing each other away for hundreds and hundreds of years, going, I'm getting that car quicker than yours. I'm going to space. I'm getting a spaceship. You're getting more and more technological. Maybe this will, ironically, make us look at each other again.
There's a great moment of 1968 when they take a photograph of the Earth and the Moon.
The blue one.
Earthrise.
Yeah.
There was an astronaut on that mission, and he got home and he said, I had to go to the moon to see the Earth.
Yeah.
And so for me, this is actually like this moment in time.
Yeah.
We had to be shown that we're not critical thinkers and masters of the universe, and we're not about escaping to Mars.
Yes.
This is it. This is all we have.
Yeah.
All we have is each other.
Yeah.
And the difference between us that will never be replicated is not knowing what you think necessarily, but knowing what you feel.
Yeah.
Back to the conversation about politics and young people. The authenticity of that, the frailty of that, the interdependence of our reliance on the earth.
Yeah.
Like, think about that as a new movement. And I think AI will be remembered in many ways, like, do you remember ozone layer?
Yes.
We just stopped using deodorant that had the wrong kind of chemical.
Yeah.
And the problem went away.
Yeah.
But only because we acted with full consciousness as consumers. So that would be my hope.
Yeah, that's a brilliant thought. I really love that. I love that. That's an optimistic thought.
Well, here's the thing. I distinguish between optimism and hope. So there's a great book with an interview with a guy called Stockdale. He was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. He was asked, who didn't come home? He said the optimists, the people who thought to be home at Christmas, i.e. the people who just thought luck would take care of them. But hope is different. Like Barack Obama didn't say, yes, we will. He said, yes, we can. Hope is the axe above the door you take down in case of emergency.
Mark, you need to go into politics.
No. Too long describing that the primetime studio.
You've been running away from this too long, Mark. You need now to turn around and look at yourself in the mirror and go, I'm Mark Little and I'm running for election.
No, I have a connection with my bot right now. He's talking for me. So this is all being AI generated.
Yeah, I could see the vocal cord not moving. And you're going to show me Anthropic in a minute. Thank you.
It's been great.
Mark Little, great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Oh, that was great. I love the end.
And my thanks to Mark Little for coming in and joining me and fascinating me on this podcast. He was also great company to chat to. And thank you very much, Mark. See you again, I hope, soon on the podcast. And good luck in all your endeavours. Thank you all for listening. You are the most important element in this podcast. It's mariorosenstock@gmail.com. If you want to contact me. I'm on tour a little bit this spring in the Lime Tree Theatre in Limerick. February and March, Lime Tree Theatre in Limerick, the Dean Crowe Theatre in Athlone, the Mullingar Arts Centre in Mullingar, and where else? Oh, the Black Box in Galway. They're nearly all sold out, but check Venue Box Office for details. If you want to see me in action, I'm coming up with brand new stuff at the moment. It's the turn of the new year, and I'm always thinking of new stuff. Take care, take it handy. See you same time, same place next week.